Hello everyone, my name is Joanna. Thank you so much for coming back. For those of you who are my subscribers, thank you so much for coming back. For those of you who are new, welcome. I hope whatever you find here you will like, and I hope you stay. Let me just be very brief. Interesting messages in the month of March. For one, they flowed very differently. There seems to be a lot of transformation going on, and I do, particularly in the month of March, and it seems to be consistent with almost every single sign. Very, very consistent. So if you are drawn to a certain sign that you don't necessarily look at, by all means listen and see if there's a message there for you. The messages are not time bound, which means there is no end and beginning. These messages may make sense to you because they have happened. You are in the middle of it happening, or it will happen at some point down the road. So do yourself a favor. If it doesn't make sense to you right away, listen to it in a few weeks' time or even a few months. And from those of you who are regular subbies and subscribers and you do comment, it looks like 98% of you find that this makes sense with as time passes. Also, my focus and intention is always, always, always to give you something to think about that will help you understand yourself more deeply. In other words, my focus isn't on predicting. If an information comes through that is of futuristic nature, I am more than happy always to give. However, my focus is more about helping you understand how you create, how you make things happen. Because the moment you know how to make things happen, you will stop waiting for someone to tell you what's going to happen, because you'll be able to create it. And that is always my aim. That is what I want to teach. That is what I do teach. And that is how Spirit is working with me. What can I give you to help you see yourself as the master of your own creation that you are, so that you can understand? And once you understand, you can create in a different way. So that is always my intention, and I hope that whatever comes through falls with that. Let's put it that way. I think that's all I have for you. Listen to the other signs if these don't make sense. Of course, this is general. It may not fit with everybody, although I'm very surprised how many of you are responding and saying this is exactly what you're going through. So also, very quickly, again, the layout is very different. I don't even have a layout this month, and it was mostly intuitive. So you will see some of the messages. I look at cards, and some of them I don't even look at cards because it's flowing. So the way information is flowing for me is also very different. So I am under also a transformation, if you will. And I think that's all I have. Of course, there's a 6-month projection for you down below from January till the end of June. If you're more interested in that information is there. And more than anything, thank you so much for liking, for sharing, for coming back. For those of you who are new, welcome. I hope you stay. Have yourself a wonderful month of March. And yeah, let's get going. Hello, beautiful Aries. These are going to be your messages for the month of March 2019. I'm doing them a little bit different this month. For one, that's what I'm guided to do, and two, February's messages were quite long, so I'm going to keep these a little bit shorter and instead give you guys other videos to think about that are not necessarily sign related. So let me start off by saying here that in the month of March, it feels for a lot of you, it may feel like a time of wrapping something up. This seems to be, or it feels to me, something that is externally related, I feel, for majority of you. And why do I say that? Because it feels like it's something that is connected to finances. So whatever it is that you are wrapping up, it seems to be with, it seems to do with something that is coming to an end. I also hear the word attrition. I actually don't know what attrition is. I'm going to have to look that up. Actually, I'm just going to see if they can show me what attrition is. Change. Okay. What's attrition? Attrition. Action or process of gradually reducing the strength or effectiveness of someone or something. Interesting. So notice what the word attrition means and how that applies to you in the month of March. I feel it is connected to an ending that brings with it a brand new beginning. And the reason why whatever it is that is wrapping up, it could be an end of a relationship, an end of a project, an end of something you're working on, an end of a friendship, end of a long-standing, I don't know, overdue account, whatever it is that needs finishing up. I feel for many of you, it feels like you're glad it's over with. For some of you, this is a job. And for majority of you, it is definitely some sort of responsibility that you had yourself tied to for quite some time. Now, the wording here is very interesting because tied to implies there is very little movement for freedom. So whatever it is that is wrapping up for you, chances are it has made you feel stuck for quite some time. Now, this could be stuck financially, this could be stuck because of fears, this could be stuck because of responsibilities, whatever it is for you. And I'm sure it's not going to be for everybody, but it seems to be for quite a number of you. For some of you, this is an issue that has been long-standing or is long-standing. In fact, for some of you, it's a lifetime, and for some of you, it's years. And always remember that we have commitments with ourselves. And if we have a wrong kind of a commitment with ourselves, well, that is going to reflect everything we do in life, including the way we communicate with others, including the way we show up at work, including who we attract and what we attract. So there seems to be some sort of a finality that's happening, but it isn't anything that's bad. And I hear it has a historical value. What does that mean, historical value? It's monumental. I feel most of you are wrapping something up that has to do with a decision that you are going to choose yourself first. And it's kind of segueing to the word that I had for you, which was integrity. Your central card or your central theme is the word integrity. So what is integrity? Integrity is upholding your own values and living up to your values and not letting other people's values come on top of yours or affect your own. In other words, your ability to stand true to yourself and your ability to be firm on what is true to you comes from having a lot of confidence in yourself and a lot of strength. So, for example, when we do things like we give up what is important to us because we want to belong, and we do things for other people purely because we want to belong, or we sell our values to somebody and we do things we may not want, but it serves us on some level, so we end up doing it. Bottom line is, integrity is the central, I'm having even trouble saying it. Integrity seems to be the central focus point in the month of March. So notice, whatever it is that you are wrapping up, and here's my famous itchy nose when spirit comes in. Notice whatever it is that you are wrapping up, whether it is a set of beliefs, whether you're saying, enough, I've had enough of this, I choose not to participate in this anymore, or something switches inside of you and says, this is too familiar. This is something I don't belong to anymore, and you decide to wrap it up. So when we wrap things up, generally something new a brand new beginning often follows. So do not be surprised if for some of you, maybe even for many of you, this integrity that is central in March is somehow tied to some sort of a decision that you will be making that is based on somebody making you an offer on something. This could be an offer of a new job at some point down the road, April, May. This could be a financial financial, something that's financially connected. This could be an opportunity, financial opportunity. This could be a new relationship, some sort of a commitment you're stepping into. It doesn't have to necessarily be financial commitment. You could commit yourself to, for example, I'm being shown somebody's deciding to compete in a bodybuilding competition or something of that sort, and you are committing yourself to someone who's going to guide you through it. Now, that's a very specific example, so I know it's going to be at least for one of you, and that's very interesting. However, the biggest thing here is whatever is about to be completed or concluded will be followed by something new, and it seems to be something much more in tune with who you are becoming or who you are now. And always remember, when we change the way we think, we shift our vibration. Whatever has been attached to us that is of the old vibration, generally those things will basically, leave out of our life, because our new vibration now is attracting something different, something that's of like vibration. So for those of you who have been working a lot on your thoughts and on yourselves, particularly for those of you who hold or have held a lot of anger, resentment with things that have happened in your past, I feel for those of you who have found an inner resolution, some big event or some big shift is going to catapult things forward for you. So this message feels very, very specific. It doesn't feel like, it feels like I'm talking to selected few people. So if that's the case, I apologize for those of you who don't understand it. But I'm being told, do not be surprised, they're saying to me, for this message will affect more people than you know. So it sounds like this will be experienced for quite a few of you who are listening. If not in the month of March, then April or May. So then the next 2 or 3 months. And remember, energy is very fluid. So transition is the word that comes up, but I'm kind of almost sick and tired saying the word transition because we're all in transition. So that's nothing new. However, as we all know, when we are in transitions, we're also changing. Part of us is dying, and it's not physical death. Part of us is being reborn. So normally, obviously, as we go through these shuffles, different things will come up to the surface that will make us feel a certain way. For those of you who are listening to this, a lot is rooted in lack of self-confidence. So if you are ending a chapter of your life, or if a chapter is closing and you are moving on from relationship, moving on from job, you're making some sort of a decision, you're choosing to participate no longer in something, even if it's just the way you think, know that there is a brand new beginning just around the corner. Now, for those of you who have a tendency to do things for other people or do things and bypass your own integrity in order to belong, I feel this message is very important, because there will be a moment in the next few months where some sort of decision will be made by you, and you will be standing once again before this decision, and you will be deciding, are you going to decide something that is because it's important for you, or are you once again going to bypass your integrity and do something that you will later regret? I'm being shown a heart, so for some of you, this is definitely around a relationship. But for majority of you, this is about knowing how you truly feel about certain circumstances and pausing and thinking, before you say yes to something you might later regret. And us humans follow patterns. Patterns is what gives us structure. Structure is what gives us safety and security. In other words, we have patterns for a reason, and we are naturally inclined to follow these patterns. So there's no doubt in my mind, for many of you, some sort of a decision will be made in the next few months. And for some of you, it's a move. For some of you, it's a move to a different town or a different country. And whatever it is that this move entails, make sure that big part of this move comes from you really wanting it, not because you feel obligated or you're trying not to tune into what you're feeling. Very, very important. And I feel like I'm not even going to go through the cards because it feels like these messages are going to come flow very differently. So notice what transpires in March, April, or May in terms of you making a choice or decision and you needing to stay true to you. So what are some of the things that are surrounding this? The idea of linear thinking is what came up. And linear thinking to me is when we are stuck in a box, when we are used to doing the same old. For those of you who are in the midst of transition or will be transitioning shortly to something new or a different situation, we're all in expansion. As a matter of fact, they're asking me to talk about this. See the number 3 and 2? 3 and 2 equals 5. That's a number of change. For some of you, this is going to make sense in May. For some of you, in April. 3 is the number of expansion, which is also transition, and 2 is the number of decisions. So they're asking me to pay attention to this because that in itself is a message for me that I'm to evoke to you. So it is only natural that as we shift and transition from one way of being to another, our circuits, which have been functioning in a certain way for so many years, will be the ones that we will have a tendency to adhere to. However, your old circuits, which is your thinking, may no longer be of value to you. In other words, the way you used to think doesn't work anymore. Why? Because it's not bringing you what you want. So if there is a decision that's being made once again in the next several months, make sure that it is not coming, that the choice you're making is not coming from this old way of doing things. This is a radical shift and change we're talking about. Many of you, and I guarantee this, many of you who are here, and I don't guarantee too many things because I just don't. Because at the end of the day, what do I know, right? But this is pretty straightforward. Many of you are going through a massive upgrade, a massive shift of consciousness. And shift of consciousness is shifting your ability to think. The way you think is how you communicate it to the world what you believe, and what you believe is what you attract. In other words, if you are stuck in a box and you are in the midst of change, make sure that you unstuck yourself from a box. In other words, do something that's less familiar. Because if you keep on doing the same thing all over again, well, do not be surprised that the results will be, well, one and the same. So pay attention to your rigid belief system. Another message that came was arrogance. And I actually had to tune into this card. And number 1 and 8, which is 9, it's all about letting go. 1 is new beginnings, 8 is strength, and that's actually what I was getting for you is the number 8. But more than anything, this is about letting go. I don't know if you can feel this card. I feel myself into this card. And the moment I tuned into it, I felt a lot of resistance, which is not unlike this card with this linear thinking, very much in a box, a very rigid pattern. But what struck me the most about this here is, I don't feel this is so much you being arrogant. I mean, let's face it, we all to some degree have some level of arrogance within us. We're human beings. We have all aspects of ourselves. Some aspects are more dominant than others, and some aspects we choose simply not to action or not to express. So, but more than anything, so yeah, this card may represent you. However, I'm not calling you arrogant, but this felt more to me like someone else's arrogance about you is what's keeping you stuck. So when I tune into this, I felt very cold energy, and I felt a lot of judgment. I feel from this message that whoever this person is in this card, whoever this person represents, is better than me. And I feel this is how you feel about yourself. You judge yourself because you feel you are less than somebody else. Perhaps someone in the past has judged you very harshly, and it made you feel not good about yourself. And as a result, your self-confidence has been compromised, and hence why you began to do things out of integrity and because you wanted to belong. So this is something that you might want to pay attention to, and notice if somebody else's arrogance towards you at some point is still something that is holding you back. Very, very important. Again, keep noticing the number 1 is a brand new beginning. So the reason why 9 is being I'm being pulled towards the number 9 is because however arrogance plays out in your life, whether it's somebody else's arrogance towards you that has kept you stuck and is still keeping you there, very rigid thinking, again, similar, or you display level of arrogance. Perhaps you believe that you are better than anybody else. And I don't presume to say that about you, because even saying that makes me feel weird. But this is showing up. So, don't take it personally, but I'm being asked to say it. Like I said, we all display various aspects of personality, and we all have this to some degree. So I'm not calling you arrogant. Please don't misunderstand me. But when we do have arrogance about us, it's because that too stems from the place of fear. Because a person who feels at peace with themselves is a person who feels no need to announce their importance, because it doesn't matter. They simply know they embody the feeling of being important. It is not an ego felt perception. It is embodied by the purity of the heart. So if you've had arrogant people around you, it's because those were their flaws, and they communicated their flaws onto you, and you began to believe that they were real. In other words, you began to own them, and you began to separate yourself from the pack, so to speak, which would make sense why you would do things in order to belong. In other words, this may be those of you who somehow feel different, but not necessarily the different of a good kind. You will also notice if you are one of those people who tends to self-sabotage, it's because there is an aspect of you that does not, how do I say it? Because why do we sabotage? First of all, what's sabotage? We get something that we want, but the moment we have what we want, we find a way to get rid of it. That's because there is internal conflict. Internal conflict happens because there are certain aspects that wants one thing, and there's another aspect that wants another thing. The moment we have those aspects at play, and there could be other aspects, we have an internal war. When we have an internal war, we have no place for peace, no space for peace. So what I'm trying to say is that somebody's arrogance may have put you down quite a lot. And as a result, you begin to go into your own shell. And this might have happened long time ago, like it usually does, or it's been happening for a while in a relationship, in a marriage, and in a work situation. Perhaps you feel like life has been pushing you around. If that's the case, I have a feeling that it's about to change. Something is going to fire you up, and a change will ensue, a positive one. So as you can see, there's nothing really specific here, but it's going to hit everybody differently. But there's a beautiful message that's coming through. Also, solitude is extremely important. Why? Because when you are in solitude, you can clearly hear your voice. When you don't hear your voice, your head gets in the way, and you may make choices or decisions based on what your ego says, and a lot of what your ego says is based on your past, and a lot of what's in your past is pain. When you allow yourself to be still, as in meditation, contemplation, taking time out, going out for a walk, breathing fresh air, not listening to social media, just clearing your head, you would be shocked what little bit of solitude or contemplation does for your heart and your soul. So what is it that I want to leave you with? I want to say this. If you are used to cleaning other people's crap, what I want to say this: before you attend to somebody else's crap, attend to your crap first. I'm not suggesting you guys have crap, but this is a funny metaphor that basically says, hey, maybe you do things for a lot of people, which is very helpful, but notice if all the things you do for other people is actually because you're trying not to deal with what's in your backyard. So that's one message. Another message is stop talking and get moving. So if for some of you, example, if you have been, and this is very timely, if you've been always talking about getting healthier, getting more spiritual, getting more in shape, eating less sugar, whatever, it's enough. It's time to stop talking, and it's time to action it. So when we say we believe something, we then action it. If you believe you want to be healthier, if you believe you want to be more spiritual, then you have to action that belief. If you don't action it, it just remains a thought. It just remains kind of a thought. So if you've been complaining a lot about something that's bothering you, then it's time to do something about it. And this is going to be very specific to some of you. And I know sometimes when we hear things like this, it's ouch. Who wants to hear that? But sometimes we need a bit of a jolt when Spirit comes in and says, okay, you've been flipping like fish without water. Have you had enough yet? Because by the way, there's an answer to your predicament, but are you willing to listen? Are you willing to learn? Are you willing to do something different to get yourself out of this predicament? Or do you want to just stay there because it feels familiar, so you keep on doing the same old, and you're surprised why you're still there? I'm actually being asked to stay quiet. Okay, I'm going to spell the surprise for you. At the end of this, there's a brand new beginning. This is the new beginning as a result of some pressure being pressure no longer. And I'm always, not always, but I'm drawn to this volcano that is erupting. Again, the word anger comes in, resentment. I feel some of you are going to vent some old stuff out, and you're going to say to yourself, I'm done. And because of this, it's almost like something breaks and you shift. And then you begin to reclaim your power. So this is fantastic message for those of you who are born under the sign of Aries, moon, rising, or sun sign. But I also say if you're not Aries, but you're drawn to Aries and this is resonating with you, that's because you're meant to hear it, okay? If any of you are in any kind of a triangle that's unhealthy, get out of it as soon as you can. It doesn't serve you. And I'm supposed to say, you know what I'm talking about, okay? And I think that's how I'm going to leave it with you. I hope this was helpful. This is really, really interesting message. So if it doesn't make sense to you right away, you know how this goes with me. Chances are towards the end of March or even April, most of you who listen to this are going to say, yep, it makes perfect sense. I see it all the time. If you would like to comment how this applies to your life, I would love to read it. I always do. Again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for giving me the time of day to listen to what I have to say. I love doing that. Without you, I wouldn't do it. And of course, if you would like a session with me, that information is conveniently down below for you. I wish you best of luck. Take care of yourself, and always remember, stay true to you.